a very important law for foreign investment into China because it brings more sophistication to the system and more attention and openness. Yes?
I think there is a problem also with your video. Okay, now we have. Okay, start again, sorry.
Thank you, Arish. I will speak about the Chinese foreign investment law in the context of how foreign investors have received this new law. It is a very important piece of legislation for foreign investment because it brings more sophistication and it is an update of the existing laws. In fact, the special laws that were in place until the end of last year have been repealed by the foreign investment law. So we do not have any more contractual joint venture, equity joint venture, and only foreign-owned investment law. But we have one single investment law that basically applies the Chinese company law to foreign investments. There are also other regulations inside the law that are quite important because they cover, as other speakers were already indicating in detail, the pre-establishment national treatment, the technology transfers, and a system that actually allows foreign investors to file their suggestions, comments, and complaints to the Ministry of Commerce of China. There are drafted regulations about this. So the regulations about foreign investment in China during this year have been updated with detailed and implementing rules. There was even also a Supreme Court decision in connection with specific issues concerning investment agreements signed between foreign investors and local authorities. So I think that from this point of view, foreign investors are quite happy about the legislative developments that have been established in China in the past couple of years. Obviously, a few things remain still to be considered when you plan a foreign investment into China, meaning that there is a system of negative lists and catalogs in which sectors in which foreign investment is encouraged or limited or prohibited need also to be taken into consideration when you plan to make a new investment into China. The law for the time being does not apply to mergers and acquisitions. So when a foreign investor is intending to merge or to acquire a domestic company, there are also M&A rules that shall apply. So when deciding to do an investment, you will have to look at the type of investment. Is it a greenfield or is it an acquisition? And then you will have to look at the sector to understand whether you can enjoy preferential treatments for encouraged investments, or you have limitations and prohibitions that are set in the negative list. Obviously, then you have the other screenings that are, let's say, done through Chinese law, but are actually international screenings, which means national security review, antitrust, and so on. What is important to say also is that the foreign investment law applies also to investments that have been made before the entering into force of the law, this 1st of January. Yeah. So this means that investments that are already in China need to update their agreements, both in terms of governance on one side and in terms of other regulations. And they have a 5-year period time to get to these updates. So if you have already a JV in China, At a certain point, you will have to modify the governance. Up to now, joint ventures had only as a government body the board of directors. Now, with the new law, the company law will be applicable to joint ventures. So this means that the joint ventures will have a shareholder meeting and a board of directors. And obviously, this means that there might be some renegotiations to be done if you have a Chinese partner in order to, let's say, update the governance of the company to the new law. Once you are here and you have made your own investment, you have also to be aware of the fact that there is a system of registration and of information that is basically done at two levels. On one level, you will be required to disclose your beneficial owner when you register the company with the State Administration of Market Regulation on one side and to the Ministry of Commerce on the other side. And then the company is going to be monitored during its life by way of a system that is called a corporate social credit system, in which you have basically a rating from different Chinese authorities. So from the local chamber of commerce, from the customs, from the tax authorities, in order to, let's say, comply with the system all over. This system has been started since a few years. It uses big data, so it's an evolving system with upgrades and updates that are basically constantly going on. So it's a system that you need to monitor in order to upgrade and update your compliance system. On the technology side and on the IT side, there will be still a system in which technology transferred are monitored, which means that the technologies that are licensed or transferred to China and technologies and products that are transferred from China to abroad are monitored, especially if you operate in some systems that are considered to be strategic. So when setting up an investment, you have also to be considered which type of technology your company is going to use. Nowadays, you have also to consider the limitations in terms of immigration of foreign personnel to China when you do a foreign investment. This is not covered by the foreign investment law, but it's covered by different regulations that have been put on basically in order to control the pandemic. They are still in place. So when you look at China and also at agreements that are not only for investment, but are ancillary to that investment. So we're talking about technical assistance, for example, or the sending of foreign managers. You have also to take into consideration these things. In terms of IP, I have to say that the foreign investment law speaks very clearly about protection of IP, prohibition of forced technology transfers, and also confidentiality obligations on the Chinese administration, employees, and agencies to keep confidential the content of the technology that is licensed, registered, or protected under Chinese law. And this is also a very important point for foreign investors, as you may see. The foreign investment law also refers to the potential creation of new free trade zones. And we have a very good example in the Hainan Free Trade Port Zone, which is going to be implemented in the next few years. And that is also very important when you consider to make an investment into China, to consider where you want to be, where your suppliers are going to be, where your clients are going to be, whether you want to serve the domestic market or whether you want also to serve other types of markets. So you have to consider that China has also free trade agreements with some of the Southeast Asian countries. that are to be considered. When you look at development areas and foreign trade zones, the foreign investment law allows for special regulations. So you will have to look also at local regulations to see whether there are specific preferential treatments or areas in which you are actually more supported to do investment. Different trade areas, different development. So what will be because it complies with the local development policies. Obviously, then when you look at the highly regulated sectors like banking, insurance, real estate, you have other regulations that are not included in the foreign investment law, which specify in detail for financial services. So we're talking about banking, investment banking, funds, and insurance companies, the fact that there will be special legislation covering that. I think that another important aspect that has been restated in the foreign investment law
الخاصة يجب أن تراعى
would be that the foreign investment law has also restated in general terms the possibility for foreign investors to invest in listed companies in China or to list a foreign investment enterprise into the Chinese market. We have one in Shanghai and a more technological one in Shenzhen. And this is also one possibility that might be looked at by foreign investors, and that was not at its full potential until now. So I end here, and obviously if you have any specific questions that you want me to address, I would be very happy to reply.
Yeah, thank you very much for your great speech. I will ask you the question who they ask about, you know, the PayPal that they can payment online.
Yes.
Yes. Regarding this kind of business, is it okay? They can start their company with this kind of business?
It will be very complicated to start that type of business for a 100% foreign invested company. The online payments and, generally speaking, value-added services on telecommunications are not open sectors. So they are subject to special licensing and restrictions. In some areas, you have restrictions on the amount of equity that you can hold, or on the type of services that you can actually provide. This is, however, subject to also different negotiations between different countries. For example, the European Union and China are currently negotiating a new bilateral investment agreement. And one of the areas in which we have asked for more market access is the value-added services. So the possibility of doing, for example, of setting up companies that are doing mobile payments or online payments on one side and e-commerce on the other side. So you will have to look at the special regulations. The thing that might be a little bit complicated in China is the fact that sometimes the regulation is there, but implementation of those rules is a little bit dragging behind. So one of the issues that foreign investors sometimes have in different sectors is that maybe there is an opening on such specific sector, but in terms of implementation, then it will be very complicated, and there might be adhered by government agencies in order for you to get the license.
Thank you very much, Sara, for your time, and we are sorry because this is the second time you are with us here. Thank you very much.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that the first time it didn't work well.
No, it's okay. And wishing you all the best, Sara. Thank you so much.
All the best to you. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.